All right, friends. Hello. We are live, and I am so excited because there's something huge that the company just announced, and we do not want you to miss out on it. And that is Double Credit Week. The company just announced we are having a Double Credit Week. So, what does that mean? That means every single order that you place will count double for our unit, for our year-end goals. Plus, it will count double towards if you have a goal to earn a diamond ring or be on our court of sales and who ranks in like the top 10 for our unit for the year. So no matter where you are on the scoreboard, even if you're brand baby new, it will matter towards the end of the year. So what you do right now this week will matter in your business and where you rank in our unit and all those fun things. Plus, you could potentially go on target to earn a diamond ring this year. Okay, this is the one I picked up this past year. So I'm going to share the flyer real quick, and then we're going to jump into our quick training. Because it's the most exciting time of the year. And I'm going to share with y'all how to have successful holiday events in November. Okay. But let me share my screen with this double credit information um, and just how you can win in our unit right now as well. So here's the information. So October 24th through the 31st. Okay. So that started yesterday through the 31st. Every $1 of your order you'll get an extra $1 in retail towards your basically towards your numbers, like for your quarter sales or earning your diamond ring or those year-end rankings, those kind of things. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. So basically, if you were to place a $500 wholesale order, that would essentially on the scoreboard only for you, only on the scoreboard and for our unit, would it count as 1,000? Okay. So I hope that makes sense. That's the only place it counts is on the scoreboard, basically for you. Okay. And the max bonus is 1,000 in retail bonus credit. So if you want to max it out, you can place up to 1,000 wholesale to count as 1,000 retail and 2,000 retail. I'll try to post a picture that explains it a little bit more with those numbers and stuff too. Okay, but there's a monthly estimated retail max of 13,000. Okay, and then on our unit retail credit, our max bonus for our unit is 10,000 in retail bonus credit. And like I said, I will post those flyers there too. But this is what you want to focus on. Basically, this sheet right there. If you want to max it out, when you fill up this whole entire sheet, you will basically max it out for the month. Okay. So here we go. Okay. So when you have a 225 in wholesale order by the end of the month, you get these super cute bee earrings. And then when you max it out, if you're like, yes, I'm going to max this out, you're going to earn this super cute Lash Love pouch. Okay. So maxing it out, I think I said it wrong a minute ago. Maxing it out would be a 500 wholesale. So that maxes out that double credit. You can go over 500 wholesale. It's just the 500 wholesale maxes out the double credit portion. Okay. So that kind of explains that. All right. Now let's jump in. If y'all have any questions, let me know. Let's jump into our holiday training. Okay, holidays is one of my favorite times of the year. And I know it's only October, but we are about to launch into the very last week of October. And here's what I want y'all to know is, first of all, you want to finish maxing out October. So what am I doing to finish max out October? Honestly, I'm holding appointments. So actually right after this, I have a bridal 4 ladies coming in, and then I'm doing some makeup today too. And so still getting in front of as many people as possible in October, because that gives you a lot of people to pull from for November for when you start to do your things we're going to talk about today. Okay. So really focus on finishing out October strong, but you do want to go ahead and start thinking about November. Go ahead and pick out your dates, okay, of where you want to work your business in November. And the two things that I am already putting on my schedule for November and already starting to plan for is number one, my holiday open house. Okay. Now, I'm going to share with y'all a couple ideas of how you could orchestrate that. I personally do an in-person one and I do a virtual one. Okay. However, I'm going to give you some options because if you're a brand maybe new and you're like, I don't want to do it in person one, you could honestly just do a virtual one. Or like when I was a new consultant, I did a lot of stop and shops and holiday coffee. So instead of them coming to me, I just went to them because I didn't have a ton of customers at that time that I could book to all come to me. So honestly, I got great results just going to them because my customer base wasn't huge when I first started out my business, but now I have a much larger one. So I do an in-person one. Okay. So you can pick which one. I've already picked out which weekend I'm going to do it. I always like to do my holiday open house. I like to do it before Thanksgiving hits and before Black Friday hits. Okay. Because I normally always do something separate for Pink Weekend. Okay. And we'll talk about that training in a future, training, but I do want you just to know that's kind of how I gauge mine out usually. So I usually do mine like well, I would say the first or second weekend of November, but the first falls on a Saturday. But I'm actually going to do mine technically the third Saturday in November because it'll still be a good almost week and a half before Thanksgiving hits. Okay. So I'll have some time between doing that and like Pink Weekend. You wouldn't want to, I mean, I would encourage you. I probably wouldn't do them at the same time because that could be a little bit overwhelming. So I try to plan. That's why you want to pick your dates now. Go ahead, plan now so you have plenty of time to plan and kind of map that out. And honestly, you can do it any day of the week. It doesn't have to be on a Saturday. So something I'm doing this year, because sometimes all my people can't come on a Saturday or a Sunday, that kind of thing. And I usually leave mine set up even after the fact. But if you're going to people or you're doing a virtual one, you could have it last a couple days. Okay. Or you could pick a couple day options to go to people, and you basically schedule a time for them. When I reach out to people, I schedule a time for them. And we'll kind of get into that in a future training, but I'll teach y'all scripts, how to schedule them, all of that jazz before you have yours. But the main thing you need to pick out right now is when you're going to have it. Okay. And you could go ahead and start making your flyer, that kind of thing, just to give your customers a heads up, like, hey, this is when it's going to be. I like to do that. So I'm personally going to do mine, that Saturday, November 15th, but I'm also going to have a Thursday option. So I'm going to spread mine across 2 different days is what I like to do. Just to have like a weeknight option and a weekend option, because sometimes, they maybe can't all get on around on Saturday or Sunday. So, you just kind of look at your schedule, decide what's best for you. Okay. And then I'll always do Pink Weekend starting on Pink Friday. We call it Mary Kay, but the day after Thanksgiving. So that's always my Pink Weekend, which will be the very last weekend of November. Okay. So you can go ahead and map that out on your calendar too. Honestly, I don't ever tell my customers I'm having a Pink Weekend until after my open house is over though, because I don't want it to affect the results of my open house. So I always just focus on my open house first and execute that very, very well. And then about the time I'm wrapping up my open house, that's when I'll try to start planning my Pink Weekend and what I'm going to do for that, which really only takes you about a day to put together, So we'll have some training on that deeper into November when it gets closer to time. But I want y'all to focus on your holiday open house or holiday stop and shop. I'm going to show y'all some pictures in just a minute. So I'm going to pull this up. Let me grab it. And it actually has everything you'll need, or most everything you'll need. Let's see here. So it'll give you some better examples of what I'm talking about when I say you have options and you can pick what you want to run with. Okay. So right here. So here's a couple things. When you're planning your open house, first, you want to have a great invite. Okay. And if you're doing it either in person or you can do it out of the back of your car, I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. Okay. You just want to have simple snacks. You don't want to like go all out for that. Honestly, usually I just have some cookies, literally just cookies and bottles of water or some kind of drink. Here in my studio, I have a coffee machine, but when I'm on the go, all I do is like put some bottles of water, some little juice in a jar, or you could put some some hot chocolate in a thermos and pour those for them out of the back of your car. So you can kind of just do what you want to with that. And then decorations. So you can go your extent of decorations. Honestly, most of my product is the decorations, and I may have like a Christmas tree, a small one if it's the back of the car, and you're gonna see some ideas of that in a minute. Okay. Meet and greet. So basically that's just where, whenever you're doing that appointment with your people at their open house or stop and shop, I usually give them a wish list when they come in. I give them a catalog, and I give them any promo I'm doing for them. So I give out holiday bucks. Okay. And in a future training, I'm going to tell y'all how I book a lot of people with holiday bucks. I basically give them something. I say, hey, you have holiday bucks to spend. And they always want to book because they want to use their holiday bucks. Okay. So that explodes my results. And we're going to talk about that in a future week. But that's just having those kind of things together when you get in front of them to have them ready. And then afterwards, I also, from those wish lists, that's where I do those follow-ups even after the holiday open house, because a lot of times they'll write down who their Santa is, like their husband or somebody, and some gifts they want for their self. If they didn't already buy it that day for themselves. Because I have a lot of people, they shop for themselves, plus they shop for other people. So that's kind of fun. Okay. But follow up. Okay. Next. So this is your open house in person, of course, like I'll show y'all my setup for that closer to time, but I'm just going to share this. This is if you wanted to take it on the road. Okay. There's some different ideas here, how you could take it on the road. This is an example of somebody's trunk decorated out. Okay. But here is how you could take it on the road right here. Okay. So, you like in your front seat, that's where you kind of put your checkout station. The back seat, you can have whatever, if you don't have it on display in the very back of your trunk, you would have whatever extra inventory you have in your back seat. In the trunk, you can use some different size boxes to elevate, to create some dimension back there. And then you see how simple, I honestly like this setup because she keeps it really simple and not like too crazy busy, and they can actually see the stuff. But you could use different containers or whatever you have, and just kind of level out like your gifts that you want to promo or your things that you want to spotlight. So she literally just put a black tablecloth over the boxes and then displayed her products on that. Okay. I also personally like to put some of my stuff in baskets, so that way as I'm driving, it doesn't like shift around, but something that you could just throw up easy, make sure it's set up easy and go. Y'all can get creative. It's so much fun. So much fun. So basically, you just go by and you see your customer and they come out and shop with you, right? And I tell them they can redeem their holiday bucks that way. And if they're like at work or somewhere where they have friends, I give them more. I up their holiday bucks if extra friends come out and shop with them. It's a great way to meet new people, if you could stop by on their lunch break or something. So that's really, really fun. Okay. Y'all can get creative with that. Okay. And then this one just kind of gives a breakdown of that, like we talked about a minute ago, just what you would want in your front seat, your back seat, your trunk, and those optional items. Okay. So this is a great just checklist. And y'all can pull it back up. And then honestly, I just have a ton of examples here that y'all can look at. As you notice, everybody's looks different. This one I love. This is like her snack station. She just had some cookies in her front seat, and that thermos has hot chocolate in it and just some little cups so they could sip some hot chocolate while they're shopping. Okay. Here's some just little fun gifts. You can kind of just see that. Honestly, this one, she just took a box and wrapped it with wrapping paper and put her products back in that. Didn't even go buy anything, So you can get real creative. Okay. So that's really, really fun. And here's like a flyer that you can utilize, which for your Christmas stop and shop. If you wanted to do like sometimes, honestly, like I said earlier, my first few years in Mary Kay, I didn't even do an in-person open house. I did this because it just worked for me. Also, I didn't have my own house. I lived at home with my mom and had like 5 people living in the house, and I had nowhere to like really host anything like this. So that's why I also ran with this, because it just depends on your life in the moment. But there's been times where we've been renovating our house, and I just didn't feel like I was really like in a position to have people come in person. So I just did my car, or I just did virtual. Okay. Um, and I'll teach y'all how to do a virtual open house too. So I love this idea, but also I have done a virtual open house, which is just on, I do it like on a Google form basically and follow up over the phone. Of course, when they see stuff, they're going to buy more. So if you can run with the Stop and Shop, that is really fun idea. Okay. Here's holiday coffee too. Here's another one. This is where you can take, last week, Joy taught y'all how to make your temptation basket. Okay. How to make your on the go basket. We call it your holiday baby or temptation basket. This is where you book your guests to come to them with a couple of their friends. It could be at their house, it could be at their work, and you're going to take your temptation basket or your holiday baby with you for them to shop out of. So you're basically just going to have one basket with all your gifts in it that you're going to promote to do that holiday coffee. Okay. So that's what this idea is. If y'all want to run with that. And like I said, y'all can read more about this. It gives you a whole entire breakdown of how to do that right here. So you can look at that. All right. And then I will also show y'all an idea of my, let me pull it up real quick. But this is how I've done in the past. This is how I've done my holiday open house. Let me see if I can get to it. Oh, okay, hold on. I was gonna just really quick show y'all. Let me see if it's in the script, my link to my open house. Yes. Okay. So I have it set up in a Google form. And I have all these scripts. Okay. I don't want to overwhelm y'all, but there's like an example of my holiday box that I used to book people. And then I basically tell them to check out the Google form, fill it out, and then they'll get to redeem their holiday bucks. So here's an example of my form from last year. I haven't updated it for this year. Okay. I'll do that closer to time. But basically it has like check out everything below, and it has all my gift ideas. So I post pictures of everything that I'm offering for the year. All right. And these are the type of gifts I would put in my trunk too, basically, or have on display at my holiday open house. Okay. And I'll tell y'all in a minute, like supplies that you would want to create those. But the first thing you're going to need is you're going to need product if you're going to do anything in person. Okay. If you're doing it virtual, you could use some of my examples, but it is still really great. You're going to sell more when you have these gifts in person and you're able to create them. Okay. So here's a bunch of ideas, and I do have a whole training video of how to make up these gift sets. Okay. Cause you might be looking at them like, what the heck, how do I make that? I have a whole training video that explains exactly what I used, how I wrapped it, all that. And Joy went over some of that last week as well. When she was teaching on how to make a temptation basket, she talked about how to wrap them and all those things. Okay. So basically y'all can see all of these ideas. This was a really big seller last year. These caboodles, these customized caboodles. I already have somebody wanting one this year. They said, are you doing those again? So anyways, okay, so you have all your gift ideas, and then I usually at the bottom they fill out their name, their number, which gifts they would like to add to their wish list, which products they know they want, and then and they submit the form. They submit the form, and then once they submit the form, I get a copy of that, and I already have a follow-up time scheduled with them. And that's kind of how I run my virtual open house. I book them for a virtual time, basically, and they check out the form before we jump on the phone or Zoom. Okay, so that's how I do it virtually. So there's been years that I only did it that way because, like I said, I didn't have anything in person. We had just moved, whatever. So it just depends on your situation. Okay. But the main things you want to plan. Number 2, pick out what gifts that you want to run with. Okay. What gifts you want to run with. And I would suggest at least getting 2 of each gifts you want to run with. I always tell people don't like go overboard. I would probably pick a variety of maybe 8 different gifts or 10 different gifts and create up right now 2 to 4 of each of those. Don't over create. Okay. That's the one thing I recommend, because usually what I'll do is I'll have my 2 that I made or 4 that I made on display. But if I get down to only 1 left, let's say my friend Susie, she wants the last one I have left of that. If I have other appointments in that day, I say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and put you down for that, and I will deliver it back to you. Okay. Because I don't want her to take my last display one. Okay. Because I want to have that to be able to sell more of them. Right. And so, if you at least have like 2 of each thing, you can at least have something to show, right? Something to show. And if somebody buys 10 of them, you can go back if you need to place an order and you didn't have 10 of those things in stock, then you can go back and place the order and get the extra you need to create those gifts. Okay. So that's how I kind of operate that as well. So that way you're not overwhelmed with all these gifts. You don't want to spend tons of time wrapping up gifts, right? I usually wrap up like 1 or 2 of each thing to have as my display and then run from there. Okay. But I may have 5 on my shelf. 5 on my shelf at home that when I get back home, I'll create them for her and take them back to her, So that's kind of how I operate that. Okay. And that just kind of keeps it streamlined. But like I said, I usually pick, I had this flyer. This shows you some best sellers. So if you're like, well, what gifts would I really want to run with or have? Like I said, I usually tell people pick about, 8 different gifts or so, maybe have 2 of each. Here's some great ideas, some best sellers right here on this sheet. Or there may be, I always like to keep it below the $50 range because you're going to sell more of those, $20, $30 items, stuff like that. You're going to sell a lot more of that than you are probably $100 baskets, because if you have something that's $20, they might buy 5 of those, because they need smaller gifts. They might need teacher gifts. They might need dirty Santa gifts. There's a lot of friends in their life, they want to buy them something, but they're not going to spend $100 on them. So that's why I try to have a lot more of those lower budget items. As my ones for demo. And then if they want to buy something bigger, we can create something. Or I may have one bigger basket available, that's like $50 or $100, but I'm not going to do a ton of those. Okay. So anyways, yeah, I hope that makes sense. If y'all have any questions, I'm going to share all of these with you. This just kind of has holiday supplies, where you can get the supplies and packaging that you could use. This just has some wrapping examples. So that kind of just sets you up for success and gives you everything you need. I think we went over everything, but as soon as you get those things set up, let your director know, when are you going to hold, like what idea are you going to run with? Are you going to do holiday coffees? Are you going to do holiday stop and shop? Or are you going to do an open house? If you're local to me, I actually invite my unit members to come invite their guests to my personal open house. So that may be an option for you. If there's one, if your director has one happening near you, or if there's a studio with some other sales directors in Mary Kay that has one happening near you, you might could invite to that, right? So ask your sales director and see what your options are, right? So let your sales director know what your game plan is, kind of thing, when you want to hold it. And make sure you go ahead and start getting your basket set up or whatnot. Ask your sales director if you need help. If you're like, what gift ideas would be best to run with, or what order do I need to place in? Now's a good time to place that order to get those gifts, to go ahead and get them wrapped up, because it's double credit this week. Okay. So that, and I think that's the main things. And then, like I said, whatever idea you're going to run with, your sales director will equip you with scripts to book people and all that jazz, because everybody's kind of different. So that's why you want to communicate with her what your specific game plan is. Okay. Have a great day. Love you all. Have a great